right, everybody, I'm Andrew Badella. That is Jordan Carter. We are live, Live, for No Dirt, Just Dialogue. Apologize for the 10-minute delay here. We had some technical difficulties that we wanted to sort out before we got on the air, which we have, so we are good to go.
I sound great.
You do. You sound good, look good, play good, feel good. That's what it's all about. It is a beautiful day here in sunny Minnesota. Jordan, before we get into everything that happened last night on Grand Slam Mexico, some news and notes. The Royal Rumble becoming 2 nights, which I told y'all in 2025. Brock Lesnar going into the Hall of Fame. I said this 3 days ago. But it is what it is. Some news and notes we'll get to. But Jordan, how is it in your neck of the woods, and how are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. Another hot day in Texas. I have secured I've been secured, but I'm getting ready for AEW's coming to town, coming to my neck of woods here in September. So I'm very excited for that. I haven't been to a wrestling show in a while, so I'm itching for it. But no, I'm good. Again, just hot. It's those dog days of summer. I guess here in Texas, it's very, very hot. But I'm good. How are you? You had an eventful weekend. You were at both nights of SummerSlam.
I did. It was good to go to an event where I wasn't working, didn't need to be places. It was just fun to take my son, my nephew, my brother, buddy of mine, and just have a good time. It was fun. The show was quick, which was nice. I did a show on Monday kind of talking about all of this in and out. I know a lot of people want 5-6 hours of grasps, and I love me some graps, don't get me wrong, but I just don't want to be there for 5 or 6 hours. And you can call me not a fan, you can call me whatever you want, but this is what I enjoy. Do I need it to be an hour and 30 minutes? Hell no. It's 2 nights. So, 2 hours and 30 minutes each night. That, what is that up to, boys and girls? It's 5 hours of wrestling. So time, divvy that up into 2 nights. I'm okay. WrestleCon was great. The SummerSlam takeover was great, especially if you have kids. Make sure you go do that if you have kids. It's big. It's been a big deal here in Minnesota for them to get SummerSlam. I know they wanted WrestleMania. I'll be honest with you. SummerSlam was a great host, in my opinion, just how easily accessible everything is and was. But I would be shocked if you see another major PLE here for a long time.
Really?
Not
it's
because
a beautiful arena.
It sure is, but I mean, it's just Minnesota. August, the weather cooperated, except for Friday. Don't get me wrong, and it's indoors. But I have a funny feeling TKO is not too pleased with the attendance. Obviously, I know that for a fact. They would have liked to have had more people there, but getting 70,000 plus for 2 nights is not bad combined, not each night.
It's almost like they should have started off with the $25 tickets.
Well, yeah. We can go. I mean, I can hammer that till I'm blue in the face. Some people will listen, some people won't. It's all, they know what they're doing, quote unquote, and I get it. But
now let me ask you this, because this is in particular and something you may know. Did they still reach their revenue mark, right? They didn't sell out, but they sold tickets at a higher price. So do you think they were okay with the amount of money they made, even though it wasn't a sellout?
Here's how this works for the new version of WWE with site fees and everything else like that. They get that. I'm almost positive. I don't have everything. I'm almost positive they got US Bank for 2 nights. Didn't cost them anything. I'm sure they'll have to take care of the ushers, the people who scan the tickets, the concessions, all that other stuff, and the people they have to pay to hand out merch and whatever else, which is expensive. But at the end of the day, when you're selling tickets and everything else like that, the hotel was given to them for the 2 nights. I think this is an absolute win for them. No matter where WWE goes going forward, it's going to be an absolute win for them. They're not going to take losses, and that's the big thing here that a lot of people need to understand. Your Phoenixes, your Vegases, Florida, Texas are going to get so many WWE events and PLEs, indie, because TKO bought them for a lot of money. Endeavor bought them for a lot of money, and they want to make sure that they recoup that investment, which any smart business would want to, but they're not going to spread themselves thin in terms of their revenue just to say that they were in Los Angeles, New York,
right,
Chicago. They'll do Raws and stuff there, but I mean, how many big PLEs have been in New York? They went to SummerSlam, which was New Jersey, and SummerSlam, that site fee that they paid to get SummerSlam was insane. It was more than I believe they WrestleMania when they went to New Jersey that one time, the 35, the last one, I should say, that they were there. They paid like over $10 million to just bring the event there to WWE. That's crazy, boys and girls. So yes, WWE will continue to meet their revenue benchmarks in terms of these events. So, people are asking, can we get an event at Yankee Stadium? I don't think New York is going to pay for that type of stuff.
Yeah, because then don't they have like late, union? I know with MSG they do, stuff like that. So
I worked at the Nassau Coliseum for so many years. Shout out to everybody there, and I love that building. This is not a blanket statement. There are some really good union people. There's a lot of them, but the unions at MSG, I've worked shows there as well. And the union, even at Nassau Coliseum, was such a pain in the ass. You couldn't pick up a chair without having to call somebody to go pick up a chair, because if I pick up that chair and fall or something happens or it's not put in the right place, the union is responsible for that. So I understand what they do, but the buildings are such a pain in the ass. So,
wow. What did you think of SummerSlam though? Overall, like, did you enjoy it? Good matches?
I enjoyed it. Good. Like I said, I think night 2 is kind of like a get you in your feels moments. Like that was the theme of that show. And Saturday night ended with that, with Brock and Oba. That was the second time I was in the building for an Oba Femi entrance. And if you think he's not over, you're crazy. I mean, realistically, I don't know if you're just not watching or you just have maybe you have a prejudice. I don't know. You cannot deny the fact that this man is not over, because he is. My kid. I mean, they've got you
got athletes doing his walk and stuff like that. Like
the split cam was the smartest thing they could do. Brock does that for nobody. So for Brock to do that, which we talked about on Monday with Blake Mitchell, Brock does this for nobody, and the fact that he did that shows me that Brock believes and WWE believes and everything else that Oba is it. And I think you're going to see Oba have a big 20. He's already had a big 2026. If you look at this as a whole, this all started with John Cena's retirement. Oba was featured against Cody. Then all of a sudden Oba goes into the Rumble and has a showcase there. Then at WrestleMania, he basically squashes Brock Lesnar. And then Brock Lesnar had to have 7 or 8 F5s to beat Oba in Italy. And then this match that we just saw, albeit short, and I thought the Hell in the Cell really could have been, they left a lot of meat on the bone, but with Brock retiring, maybe this is just what they want, the story they wanted to tell. I don't know if this match needed a Hell in a Cell, because there was nothing to my that was like, oh man, this is a blood, because I thought it was just going to be a blood fest, and it just wasn't, which is fine. That doesn't.
I was expecting at least a spear through the side of the cage.
Yeah, something. I mean, it wasn't really your typical Hell in the Cell where you're like, oh shit, this is going to be nasty and gory. And I understand he did a tombstone on the wood and the exposed ring, which was a callback. There were so many callbacks in this match. You got to go back and actually pay attention to it. That's why Oba kicked out. But again, Oba's set to have a remaining massive 2026, and I don't believe you're going to see Oba win the Money in the Bank. We'll get to that later on, but I think Oba's going to have another showcase in War Games, and I think after that, it's off to the races, truthfully.
He is easily, I don't want to say Rookie of the Year, but maybe MVP of the year, if you ask me. Maybe Most Improved. We're going to give him an award. I think he's had a hell of a run this year. He's taken every single chance and opportunity that's given to him and elevated. Every single time you see him in each program, he's better and better and better. I would like to see more promos from him. I know they've been doing that, but like he has such a way with speaking and commanding and cutting that intense promo.
Sure.
I'm hoping to get a little bit more from him because I would like to see him open up a show, maybe cutting a promo, something like
I
that.
would like to see, I want Oba to kind of stand on his own. I don't think don't get me wrong, Heyman and him would be money, but somebody who desperately needs a mouthpiece after his return on Monday, in my opinion, maybe it'll get better, is Big Cass. I just thought they did him no favors by having him cut that promo. You could have just left his beatdown of Javon, and that could have been it. That was my one takeaway from that, where I was like, oof, I don't know if we
Now, let me ask you this since we're on that. We saw Cass, no Enzo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Enzo's coming later or not at all? Is Cass going to be a solo?
I think the nostalgia run with those two as a tag team could be. There's money there, obviously, and WWE will need it. I'm gonna say I'm gonna wait and see to what AEW does with the New Day before WWE's like, all right, go get Enzo, if they haven't already. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because I remember there was the rumor that they were going to be coming together and be doing that run again, and
I think it works because you could have had Cass turn on him eventually and then just become this big nasty bastard
again.
Sure, but if this is again, Cass is. Listen, Cass looks like $1 zillion. Like not a million.
He looks great.
Not $1 billion. He looks like $1 zillion. He's got the height. He's got the physique. He's got everything you would want. He needs, to. I say less is more on the microphone, because at the end of the day, the best talkers in the business get the most over, and they also sell the most tickets and move the most merch, and that's just how it is. So, unless you can get a mouthpiece like Paul Heyman for Brock Lesnar. I think they could have easily went with the tag team run out of the gate, and then it's a different Cass. It really is. I think Cass is going to be a focal point here in the next.
I think they are going to, if he is indeed by himself, I think they are going to build him up to be a challenger. I think they're going to make him into a monster. Now, it's a little crowded up there on the Raw side for the monsters, because he would eventually have to run into Oba. So I personally would like to see him transition over to SmackDown, where there's not as many monsters.
Bro, SmackDown right now, Jordan, is so loaded with like main event talent. When Punk and Cody, and then you had Balor, and you have Sami Zayn, and now KO. I mean, and that's just the short list. I mean, when Drew McIntyre comes back, there's such a logjam there for him. I mean, could he take on, Baron Corbin and fight for the United States Championship? Sure. But even then, you have Trick Williams headed to the main event scene, in my opinion, very, very shortly as well. So, I mean, it's just loaded there on SmackDown.
It's funny you say that. I think Trick should pick up a couple of wins and be CM Punk's next challenger. Of course, he doesn't win.
Sure, but I mean, again, the list is so long. You have Gunther, Punk, Cody. Potentially KO, Sammy. Randy,
Randy's back.
Royce Keys, who's been on Raw, but I mean, you could put Royce over there as well. I mean, and we still don't know what Trick's status is. I think Trick is headed to the main event, truthfully.
Which, by the way, you brought up Royce. I do want to speak because I've had a point, and I wrote it in my notes too. I wanted to bring this up.
I'm going to give you the floor for a second. Go ahead.
There was a little bit of kind of uneasiness about Royce Keys at first. They called him, he was taking a lot of losses. You got to understand that I'm starting to see trust in the process. They put him in the main event on SmackDown. Now he was the opening match on Saturday. I think that it's a slow burn with Royce. Now it's maybe a little bit slower than what you're used to or what you're comfortable with, but this is clearly a slow burn with Royce. I, for one, have to maybe say, I spoke too soon on what are they doing with Royce. And so I take it back. I think that they do believe in him. It's just a slow burn. It's just going to be a very, very slow burn. And I think it's because it's something me and you talked about. It's a logjam. There's a lot of talent. They're very, top heavy when it comes to talent. So you can't just expect to push him, because if you give him this spot, you're taking away from another. So yeah, no, I think that they're slowly but surely like trusting more in Royce Keys and getting ready to put the rocket on him. Because you don't just open up the card for no reason. They trust you to set the tone, to and then also who they put him in the ring with as well. You're sharing the ring with LA Knight, who just immediately after shared the ring with Roman. So who's to say that couldn't have been Royce? You know what I mean? So I see what they're doing with Royce, and I trust them. I will say right now, I trust WWE with Royce.
Yeah, I mean, Royce, he wanted to do some of the stuff, and maybe it was, something that somebody suggested, but he wanted to do main events. He wanted to do dark matches. He wanted to do a lot of things, I think, to just, get and look at the position he's in now. The same could be said about a lot of AEW talent too. I think you guys and girls need to pay attention. Just my opinion. Who is going out and doing indies, or they're working dark matches that you don't really hear about unless you read about it in the reports and stuff like that. For those who are not on television weekly, I think that shows that they're not just here to collect a check. I mean, you can go look at who's booked on indie shows. Eddie Kingston was doing it. Hook is now doing it. There's some other people who I just think you need to pay attention to, who are not really on AEW television due to political reasons, because people want their 15 minutes or their 6 segments, brother, or they're just not on television. I can't tell you why it is, but at least they're not sitting at home with a bag of chips and just being like, hey, give me my money, and you can't blame people, but.
Well, let's get into that, because with AEW, you watched Grand Slam Mexico. Great card.
I thought the show was fantastic.
Oh my God, the show was fantastic. Great crowd. For one, I love Arena Mexico. I watched some CMLL. I love the stairs. I love the camera that's behind the stairs.
I'm gonna have to go to one of these if, in fact, Tony, and I believe he will return.
So here's the thing. I'll go ahead and tell you, and this is one of the reasons why CMLL has the record number of sellouts. There are certain travel packages that when you travel to Mexico, which give you a ticket to a CMLL show.
Sure.
So I implore you, if you do, take advantage, because even if you just see a CMLL show, even if there's some AEW talent there, that arena is so cool, so
I'd like to go to Grand
dope.
Slam. I don't know if my wife would want to go in August. I don't even think she'd want to go to a wrestling show, but I think she would, if I was like, hey, we're going to make a vacation out of this and whatnot. And normally I don't make vacations out of wrestling, but I do want to get to Arena Mexico. I do once.
Yeah, it's but no, the show was great. The presentation was really, really good. I loved how hot the crowd was. But I was watching the show, and we can get into some of the details about the show.
Yeah.
One of my biggest questions.
Let's start there. Let's do AEW Grand Slam Mexico off the top, and I'll let Jordan have his whatever questions he want to pepper at me.
Well, my 2 questions to start.
Sure.
Where's Tekla? Where's Swerve?
We'll get into that for sure, because I think those are big talking points. I thought the show was fantastic from top to bottom. Flow, crowd, everything. Giving Copeland that moment to come out, I'm sure Adam, he might have asked for it, because it's just, he's winding down his career. And at this point, maybe, some people would view that as selfish and whatnot, but he missed last year's Grand Slam in Mexico. I think this was the right call to give it to him. And it was a great moment. And again, the match that followed, and then the match that followed that, and then the match, it was just a very, very good flow. And then to end with Ospreay and Dunkzilla, Mark Davis was fantastic. Again, Speedball and Fletcher had such a fantastic match. They really did everything on this card. Jericho's entrance, even that tag match.
Jericho's callback. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Everything was just fantastic. Truthfully, fantastic.
It felt like a pay-per-view.
It did, and it was well done. Coming out of the show, obviously we have major talking points, but you brought up Tekla and you brought up Swerve. Also Kenny Omega. I know Kenny was advertised for this show, and then maybe Kenny, I don't know what the deal is, and I'm not going to speculate, but I think maybe Kenny Maybe he has visa issues. I would doubt it, but I don't know. But I just believe maybe, with all the injuries he's had and whatnot, maybe he doesn't want to disrupt his gut and whatever else. I don't know. And I'm not going to speculate. But Tekla's omittance from this whole thing, and it's not just this show, it's since she's dropped the championship.
She's dropped the belt. No promo, no nothing.
Yeah, and it's something for me you just can't do. She is your former world champion, and we've had this happen before with the women and the men. And to me, it makes no sense. And I get a lot of people follow me, some who don't, who will, come for my neck about certain things or whatever else. But you could tell by what they put on television, what's produced, who has influence and who doesn't. And I'm just getting tired of the whole, it's very much in plain sight. And I don't know what we would need to do or how you would go about this, but it needs to end. Nobody should have this much influence. Where in God's name is your former women's world champion? Where is Swerve? What? And don't sit back and tell me that they're hurt. We all saw that bullshit with MJF. All right. You can miss me with it. Oh, he hyperextended his knee. Go fucking fly a kite. All right. Cool. You know what? I'll never be able to prove you wrong. They didn't hyperextend his knee because it's a HIPAA law. I'm not gonna be able to get any medical records, nor am I insane enough to even try and do that because it's professional wrestling. But you could tell by the way that things were broken down that, in my opinion, that was garbage. He just went home and that was it. And he deserves it. Whatever. Who cares? But you could tell that the way things are broken down, it's just very, very strange that one of your former main event players, world heavyweight champion in Swerve Strickland, is not around. And your former AEW women's world champion, Tekla, not even 3 weeks ago, has missed back-to-back episodes of not only Dynamite, but Collision. What are we waiting on? And all of a sudden, if we get a match that's announced for All In, and it's against one of the new signings that AEW has, great. You have less than, 2 weeks, I think, now? When's the show? The 30th?
The 30th. So you got
you have 3 Dynamites to really, which is hindsight being 2020. Yeah, all right, it's enough time. But I mean, that's your former
is it though? But is it though for your former women's champion who's come out and said nothing? She has had no promo. There's not even we haven't even seen the Triangle of Madness. We haven't seen this. Now, granted, maybe
Tekla wanted some time off, so be it. You can't tell me that
she couldn't
even
want
to walk into Wembley
Arena,
Stadium
Mexico.
No, but Tekla, as walking into Wembley Stadium as your women's world champion, you can't tell me she didn't want to do that.
Oh yeah, you can't. My thing is this: again, if she even requested a break, I can understand that, right? Because hey, you're going hard, trying to put in this PTO. You can't cut up any sort of promo, of giving some sort of direction on this character, right? Because as far as we know, because someone I see in the comments said, "Where's Toni Storm?" Toni Storm's dead. We know that they killed her, Toni Storm. So Toni Storm's dead. But Tekla, we don't have anything. See, at least, and I joke and I kid, but at least we have a resolution with Toni Storm.
Sure.
We have an explanation for Toni Storm.
Well, and God, you know what? God bless Tony Khan. God bless Tony Khan, and God bless Toni Storm. I wish her the absolute best. And I pray that everything goes the way she wants it to go.
Right? Yeah, and I'm sure. But I'm remiss to be like, man, because I got, coming out of this card last night, I'm starting to not necessarily question Toni, but this women's division, the booking of the women just has not been great as of late. Well, you had this great team in the Divine Dominion, and they've done nothing.
I disagree with the booking of all of the women. I think that's a blanket statement. No.
Yeah,
but I think Willow Nightingale and Monet, there's money there, and the promo showed that, and everything else that.
Maya World money.
Yeah,
I get it.
Even the Brawling Birds and Dominion. I mean, I'm there for that. I
But
mean,
like
I'm there for that. Why would
they've done nothing really at when have they defended those titles? Last time it was what?
maybe 2 weeks ago?
Pre-show?
No, maybe it was 2 weeks ago on Dynamite. I don't know. Maybe I
Was it?
think maybe it was the
I,
pre-show on the pay-per-view. Maybe I'm blending them all in together. At the end of the day, though, the Brawling Birds have called out Divine Dominion,
it's
and I
called
like
and
and I
they're
like
going
it.
to win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but I don't mind it. I want to focus on what was on the show. We went over Swerve and Tekla now. I don't know where they are. Somebody said Swerve in the Casino Gauntlet. Yeah, okay, great. But I mean, like, Swerve was just in a major match at Forbidden Door, and then I don't think we saw him after that, right?
No.
All right. So, any hoot and holler.
But the rest of the card, I loved this. I mean, Mark Davis and
Great
Ospreay.
match.
Mark Davis has shown I think he's the most improved on the AEW side. He's shown that, hey, look, I don't need a tag partner. I almost don't need the Don Callis family. Just let me cook. Just ring the bell. Mark Davis brings it every single time the bell rings, every single time his name is called. I really, really love the intensity Mark Davis brings. Will Ospreay obviously is Will Ospreay. I mean, what more can be said about Will Ospreay? Love that match. Another thing that really stood out for me, and one thing I kind of feel like we can pause and talk about, is the trios titles. How are you feeling about this sort of hot potatoing of the trios titles? Because now we have what I think is being deemed called the good, the bad, the ugly with Brodito and Hangman.
Yeah. I wish for more for Hangman, but I mean, at least he's on TV. There's numerous talents that are under AEW contract that I would like to see on television that aren't focal points. Hangman obviously is. He can't fight for the world championship. So people are like, why couldn't he be in the Casino Gauntlet? Because if he wins it, he can't challenge for it. So I mean, it really, like, putting him in the gauntlet's stupid. I wouldn't have mind Hangman in this cup, truthfully, Continental Cup. I think, but it would have been very predictable then, where it's going to be Moxley and Hangman. But again, I don't mind it. It seems like they're kind of reestablishing Hangman here because he went from the highest of highs to now the lowest of lows, which is totally fine. But again, I know they do the Forbidden Door concept, obviously, because it's Forbidden Door. I would like to see more of that, like, dream match scenario, if there's really any left, with other companies on All In. Like when they did Jericho and Ospreay, right? At All In that one year, right? It was Jericho and Will, right?
Something like that, I want to say.
Or was it Kenny? They did a couple of like dream matchups where you were like, oh
yeah.
shit, like this is, I think when you have main eventers like you do, the Casino Gauntlet's smart to run that match at this pay-per-view. But for me, I would like to see some more dream matchups where you're looking at this and you're like, oh man, like, let's just say Swerve's taking on, I'm just using an example, like, I don't know, if, let's just say when Okada was still in New Japan, but he's not. So I'm trying to think of like something that would work, where New Japan's heavyweight champion is taking on Swerve Strickland, but they do that at Forbidden Door. But I truly believe that Forbidden Door concept is just done.
It's
the pay-per-view.
The Forbidden Door concept is dead.
Yeah, I just wish that I don't know. I wish Swerve and them had bigger matches, especially Hangman. Listen, Hangman winning the Trios title with Brodito is fine. I know some people said that they're just holding it to drop it to whom? Who do we think they're going to drop it to?
Personally, I think they'll drop it back to the Demand.
Interesting.
So my fantasy booking, just put my fantasy booking hat on,
sure,
is they beat the Demand now to face them again in 3 weeks at All In. So we get a Trios championship match at All In. They lose, and Hangman goes heel, turns on, because that's someone who you could turn on, who the crowd has such sympathy for, is Bandito. And seeing Hangman, beating up, turning on Bandito would get him so much heat. Oh my God, the crowd would love to boo him for that. So I personally, that's how I see it. Now, I don't know who else you could defend against. Maybe the Dogs, maybe a returning Gabe Kidd, because I believe his visa issues are getting cleared up because, I know he's not injured. So I could see the dogs, but then again, my question to you is for one, is hot potato even a thing to you? Do you even think that hot potato titles is even a thing, even a concept?
I think if it makes sense, then so be it. I don't, like, would I want them changing the championship every week just for the sake of, Crash TV or to get ratings or something? Hell no. But again, I think this was made to have like a headline. I think MJF stole those headlines, but we'll get into that.
We're about to get into that.
I don't mind the title changes like this, especially, as long as it's not your world championship, I don't mind it. So no, it doesn't bother me. I mean, realistically,
excuse me.
Do you really care?
A little bit. I only care because we weren't doing much with Ricochet before. I thought that this would be reinvigorating him in the demand, and it seems like he was just a placeholder. So I come out of this and I care because now what do we do with Ricochet and the demand?
All right. Well, I'll give you the floor here for a minute. Book Ricochet and the demand at All In. Let's just remove them from this trios. What do you do with them? Did you put Ricochet in the gauntlet?
Yeah, that's literally what I was just about to say. I'd put Ricochet in the gauntlet, and I would have him have a great showing. Obviously, maybe he doesn't, win it. I don't think he's a guy that should win it. Or I would like to see him in the demand, maybe take out somebody from this Continental Cup tournament, and therefore Ricochet can insert himself into the tournament, because that is also a name that I was like, I thought Ricochet would have been a shoo-in for this type of tournament, I don't know, maybe they're saving him for the C2, because it seems like this side of the tournament is for more, and I hate saying this and relegating guys, but it seems like this side is more for the mid-card guys, the lower level guys, and then when they do the C2 is when they're going to have your bigger name, more stars show up. So sure. I would personally like to see the demand and Ricochet do more. Obviously, I mean, Ricochet to me is a heat magnet. You want to push him, you want to keep him on TV. To me, so if you're not going to give them back the trios titles, somehow insert him into this tournament.
Yeah, and I think Tony's going to do his damnedest to get everybody on this Wembley card because that's just the way he operates, which is fine, and it should be. This is the biggest show of the year, and this is the one time where I'm not going to complain about the length of a pay-per-view, because realistically, it's their WrestleMania. You want to go 5.5, 6 hours, go for it, because this is an event that this is deserving of. The Cup, I can get into this whole Continental Cup thing right now. I put out a post about it. But for me, I like the Cup. I like the idea of it. And I like the C2 a lot. I was not a big, what do they call it? The event that, the tournament that happens in New Japan all the time. What is it called?
G1.
The G1. Have I watched some of it? Yes, but I was not big into it. The C2 has made me more familiar and has given me a new appreciation for that type of stuff. So I like the C2 a lot. And I actually, I consumed more G1 content, which I dig as well. I think the championship is a ticking time bomb. I think it makes no sense, truthfully. The winner gets a championship that he will have to defend sometimes. But come November, it's on the line, and that's it. And the champion needs to basically get all the way to the finals and win to retain. It's a ticking time bomb. It makes no sense. Just have the Cup. Basically what you do with the Owen, because I don't hate the Owen. It's a memorial. I love that. So you want to do this Cup and you want to do the C2, have the winner, get an opportunity.
Or change. Yeah, I was about to say, just change the parameters. Make the C2, if the C2 was supposed to be the American G1, then
It
make it the
is.
American G, then make it the American G1 and have it be for an opportunity for the
The
AEW World
championship
title.
is just too much of a ticking time bomb. If it's never
Yeah.
defended, then it's just a prop, just like the Owen thing,
Yeah, it's just
which is fine. You get the
yeah.
championship and the
We
trophy.
love props.
We do not need, somebody holding the Continental Championship just to be like, hey, he's a Continental Champion, like a John Moxley or anybody else, so that they have a place on the card. First of all, John's always going to have a place on the card because of numerous reasons. But I don't think you need a championship that's defended on pay-per-views. That's, again, a ticking time bomb come November. It's like, all right, well, I hold this till November and then I got to relinquish it. That's stupid. It sucks, in my opinion. And you're not relinquishing it if you win the whole thing. But I think we should just have the cup and the C2 be for an opportunity at the World Championship. And I know you have the Casino Gauntlet, but at the end of the day, AEW doesn't have a Royal Rumble. They also don't really have a Money in the Bank. So these are two concepts you could kind of use.
Speaking of the gauntlet, someone who showed up last night, who I'm going to be honest, did not. You probably knew, and you would have no-sold me if I asked you.
Sure.
MJF showed up and established himself as the quote unquote real world champion. I guess we're doing this bit again.
I mean, he's a heel, so I don't hate that.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
He's a heel, but for me, it doesn't make any sense. He was beaten clean.
I mean, delusional heel, they'll say, and,
sure.
and
that works. That's fine.
But what did you think of him coming in? I personally, I get it. You want the booze, you want the heat, but Andrade's so over. Like, why did it have to be that moment? Andrade's over.
My biggest thing is, why not just have a singles match with Andrade and MJF, like for the national title? Why not? Why does Andrade need to be in this match? Why does MJF need to be in this match?
To me, that sells more tickets. A singles match.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? Like, if MJF wins this thing again, he would have won 2 years in a row, because he won it last year in Texas. So for me, they could be telling a story within a story, and you could get that national championship match on All Out in Chicago. Fine. That works for me too. This is just part of the story. But, MJF coming out with the championship and basically running down the main event at Wembley was something I was just like, you can hold your championship and just be like, I'm not relinquishing this because, this means the world to me and I'm not letting anybody take it. It's heel tendencies. I don't hate it. But to sit back and be like that joke of a main event and I'm the real world's champion, you're kind of in hindsight devaluing what happened on your television. One of those things, you're not involved with the Wembley main event. That I don't like.
It's one of those, two inside baseball type of deals, right? Where it's akin to, I didn't like how Punk and Roman were shooting shots at each other after SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. Like, why is MJF taking shots at Ospreay and Omega because you're not in the main event? It comes off very wham crybaby. I want to be in that spot. Not it doesn't come off as heelish as maybe he possibly thought. It comes off very selfish. It comes off very, don't ever you're still on the same team, right? Yeah, kayfabe, yeah. But when you're talking on that mic, you are a much of a representative as AEW as a heel face in between. It does not matter. So when you talk about your main event on your biggest show of the year, and you're saying bad main event because MJF's not in it.
I don't mind. Like I said, I don't mind the promo for the most part. But like you said, there was a little bit too much where I was like, I think he means every word he's saying, and that's good. That's good. But when you sit back and you're like that joke of a main event at Wembley, all right. But we all know how you really feel. We know you wanted to be in that match, and that's fine. But again, this is how I believe this. This is how I believe this played out, right? The plan, because everybody and their mother reported it, was MJF was going to drop the championship to Kenny Omega in Montreal. It didn't happen, right? If that were to happen, okay, and then people were like, oh, shit, MJF's taking time off. He's hurt, blah, 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 blah. he would have literally went home for like what, 10 days and then back.
Yeah.
So that whole he was hurt theory goes right out the godforsaken window. And you're just left with 10 days. He couldn't have been hurt, which smart on MJF accelerated things, right? And campaigned for it and pushed for it so that he can go home for, I don't know, what was it? 17, 20 days. So it was less obvious that he was just going home. I think MJF's a very, very good talent, but sometimes the political shit that you will get yourself into will rear its ugly head. And if I'm MJF, man, I think my work and my ability and my charisma can do so much more than me politicking or campaigning.
So there are very few people in this industry who I like to call as walking sellouts, meaning if you announce them, the building will probably sell out. People are going to buy tickets on this name alone.
Sure.
MJF is one of those guys. If you put him on any card, people are going to buy tickets to see MJF. They want to see what he's going to say. They want to see what he's going to do.
But if that was the case, Jordan, and I'm just stating this, if that was the case, then AEW would be in big buildings every week when he was world champion. They weren't. And it's not a detriment to MJF.
Touché.
It's truly not. I think MJF is a draw in AEW. I do believe that. But you can't sit back and tell me that MJF's an instant sellout. There are very few and far in between. I think there's maybe 3 in WWE right now. And that roster's loaded. And I think an instant sellout right now is even tough. But I think Roman, Punk, and Cody are your 3 guys. Yeah.
So what? AEW, Kenny, maybe Will.
I don't think anybody's really over in AEW like that. It's
fair.
barely in WWE, truthfully, and it's just because WWE is a machine. People are over in AEW, but they're playing 4,000 or 5,000 seat buildings.
So they're over, but they're not crossover. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I just think there's a cap on some of these guys. Could MJF go to WWE and be a megastar? Sure. Would he be neutered? I think he will be. I think he would be if he were to go over there. In terms of his character, like they'll assassinate that character.
You're not going to be able to cut the type of promos.
No, and that's the thing. Like it's a horrible terminology, but it's just the truth. There's not a lot of wrestlers that are over anymore. And, there's not a lot of wrestlers who command that type of instant sellout. And if we had a lot of them in AEW, there's a lot of great talent in AEW. There's a lot of men and women who work their absolute asses off. But we're talking about big money draws. They're
so I'll push back then on even what I said. And then is this not him trying to do that, though, by making himself like, hey, look, don't watch that main event, watch me. Like, would you say that's him trying to
He's in a gauntlet. He's in a gauntlet.
He's in a gauntlet. I mean, yeah, okay. You're right. With 19 other people.
But this show sold 30 some odd thousand tickets without MJF even being announced. So, I mean, if MJF moved another 30,000 seats because now he's in the gauntlet, he's a draw. Yeah. He's a draw. No doubt about it. Yeah. But again, there's very few and far in between right now, talent-wise, who can be announced for a show and people are like, oh, shit. CM Punk gets announced for Worlds Collide in Chicago. They go from 6,000 to probably 10 to 11 in a matter of weeks. And that's 10 to 11,000. I think he could sell 5,000 seats just by him being announced for a match on Worlds Collide, a tag match, whatever they're going to do. That's a draw. And Roman's the same way. Roman defending that title in Arena Mexico. Gonna be big.
Which, let's well, you got anything else on Grand Slam? I loved it. I thought
the show was great.
Kyle Fletcher in Speedball. Oh my God, give me more of that. Inject that in my veins right now.
Yeah, but here's the other thing I saw too that was circulating when I want to talk about Eddie Kingston too, because the internet went nuts with what I said, and that's fine. That's why I'm here.
Your neck, bro.
I'm here for the criticisms. That's what it is. A lot of people agreed with me, and then a lot of people disagreed with me. That's what this is all about. It's called discussion. This is not just me saying my opinion is the only opinion, and that's it. And you need to listen to it, because that's not what this is. That would be a dictatorship. I like to have conversations, not confrontations. Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, and it's more so Dave, went on and talked about the match between Fletcher and Speedball. And Brian Alvarez was extremely complimentary of this match, and so was Dave Meltzer. And then Dave said, Speedball is good, but he's never going to be a world champion. And it's like, okay then. And he goes, and Fletcher's got to be next in line. I mean, the guy is just, you're literally seeing the influence that Dave Meltzer has, because Tony is obviously, and has been out stating this, he loves the Observer. He grew up reading the Observer. He's a big Observer guy, and that's fine. And I know Tony's the one who, calls the shots at the end of the day. But if you go watch AEW television and watch when Speedball's nowhere near the main event, and Kyle Fletcher is, after Ospreay wins the world championship. And do I think Speedball is like this main eventer that's going to sell 1,000,001 tickets? I don't, but I'm not going to go on the air and sit back and be like, well, he's never going to win the world championship, because it's wrestling. You could always win the world championship. You could always be a main event guy if the booker decides to book you as a main eventer. And if you get over with the crowd, ridiculous. Then he talks about Eddie Kingston. Well, Eddie doesn't move the way he does, so that's why he's not going to get pushed. Bro, what are we doing? And the smug look on his face and the arrogance, basically, I like Dave, but I think Dave is losing his fastball in terms of,
that's a hell of a way to put it.
You're basically telling everybody, without telling everybody, that you have a direct inside line to Tony, which we all know, and that you have a heavy influence on him. So you need to stop booking for you. And that goes for everybody. But Meltzer obviously has a very large audience, and good for him. He is a legend in terms of what this industry is, in terms of the internet wrestling community. And Dave is a legend. I have a lot of respect for him. But there comes a point in time where what happened in New Japan Pro Wrestling in 1991, 2, and 3, when it was very, very hot and it was like the number one promotion, doesn't work in 2026. Shit, I love 96, 97 WWF and ECW, 98 ECW. It doesn't work anymore. And I can't book just for Andrew, or I can't put out what I like and everything else sucks, or what I want to see. That's not how this works. It's not. Your long form pay-per-views, they suck. The crowd's telling you that. You get the sickos, a couple of them are like, I want my money's worth. Okay, great. Watch the pay-per-view tomorrow. I don't pay for a pay-per-view to watch tomorrow, brothers and sisters. All right. I also am not going to come out here and bury talents and just say this sucks, that person sucks, they don't move this way, all this other shit. And then all of a sudden they're not pushed on television, Jordan. I wonder why that is.
I want to push back a little bit on that, just for the sake of entertainment here. Good friend of mine, a member of the collective, Ryan, pointed out that in real sports, and again, doing the comparison isn't fair, but you'll have who's the opposite of Shams? He does the NFL breaking news with free agency and stuff like that. Schefter will say some of the things about players and things like that, and sometimes it'll become there. Is it just as bad there as or is it comparable to what Dave is doing? Because it's not like he's just reporting on the players.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Right. Because he's just reporting on the players.
Is it believable? And Cody, I have the utmost respect for you, and I love you if you end up watching this or it gets clipped. Is it believable that Cody Rhodes could beat up Brock Lesnar and win a match? No, it's not. In real life, no, it's not. This is theater. This is entertainment. A lot of people have come wrestler-wise for a lot of people who cover this next, and sometimes rightfully so. I don't ever see people like Sean Ross Sapp. I don't see other people be like, oh, this guy doesn't move the way he does. He sucks, or he's never going to get pushed. I don't see him doing that, because there are some things that Sean, is in the middle of and people give him a lot of shit for, but I don't ever see him doing that, because I think you have to understand that there is, yes, these men and women put their bodies on the line for our entertainment, and it's a brutal, unforgiving business. And I will never call wrestling fake, because it's not. But this is staged entertainment. It's the guy and girl who's most over can beat this beast or this immovable object. That's what happens. I mean, realistically, should Andre the Giant have ever lost a match if this is how you want to cover the sport? No.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
can treat some of this like professional sports, but this is entertainment. If Tony wants Eddie Kingston to be your world champion tomorrow, by God, he could book it and make it, and that happens. That's not how professional sports works. And I get tired of seeing that. Don't we have a job to do? You do, respectfully. That's it.
At what point, and I think you and I know this, but I'm only asking this for the sake of entertainment. At what point does that where does that onus start for a person like Dave, for people like you and I who cover this, who do this? When does that onus start to stop with our because Dave has clearly put in his personal opinion and
for sure
that influence. So at what point does it,
I think you need to, truthfully, and I know, there'll be a lot of people who clip this and they'll have positive and negative reviews about it or whatever, but if I was employed by either company, right, and I was doing the creative process, I would make sure that I'm not chummy or buddy with anybody, truthfully, because they're all carnies. They all, have their, and it's the same thing in professional jobs. Where I'm not going to call this job a professional job because I don't do this as a profession.
Yeah.
And again, shout out Dave Meltzer and all those who do, because that's a testament to you guys. You've carved out a path. But I think when people become buddies with the wrestlers or the talent, I would separate myself entirely, because then you could hear the crowd, you could watch what's on your monitor, and you could see who's actually getting over and who deserves this and who deserves that, which is a completely overused term. And you could see who gets it and who doesn't. Instead of being like, ooh, Will Ospreay reminds me a lot of guys that I used to grow up loving, or this and that. But if Will's not getting a reaction, tough shit. Even if Will's my best buddy, tough shit. And he is getting great reactions. I said this to you, Kevin Knight. I thought Kevin Knight got a terrible reaction in Montreal. I'm going to give it that it's one night in Montreal, and hopefully his reactions get better and better. But for me, if I'm watching that, and I love Kevin Knight, I do. Great talent, but the crowd didn't react to him at all. That's a problem. That's something you need to take into the equation. But Dave Meltzer and some other people, it doesn't matter. It's just a bad crowd, when their favorites don't get the reactions that they should have. You can't operate like that. That's why your business or your wrestling promotion will never excel to the heights you want. They'll continue to descend, and you don't want that. You don't want it. Ospreay's getting insane reactions. There's numerous other people who are getting insane reactions in AEW. That's what you got to look at. Stop playing. There's multiple streamers who do it. Why is it this guy or this girl pushed? Well, go fucking watch the reactions.
So for those who maybe, do listen or follow to Dave, and this isn't no knock on Dave or no
not
hate
just
on
Dave. There's a lot of people who do this.
So let me ask you, because you're a very smart individual. Who would you go to then? I guess
right now.
Yeah. Who?
Right now, I'm going with Ospreay and Wembley, and I want to live and breathe that reaction and see what happens in real time. And then I'm going to watch his reactions week after week after week. They did it. I've said this. I would have strategically booked Will and AEW when he's champion. I would have booked shows in the UK because Will is going to get a hero's welcome.
Yeah, the fact that we don't have shows leading up.
I don't know. And those crowds are always red hot. I don't know the type of reactions Will's going to get once he's champion. We saw it with Cody, too. We saw it with Cody. Cody won the championship, and people went nuts for a little bit, and then they were like, nah, okay. Come on, let's go. Get out of here, So I would go with Kenny. Kenny and Ospreay is a good match, and it's what they should do. And Will winning works. It does. On the WWE side,
one show in the UK before All In, and they're in Glasgow.
That Chicago crowd, I'm going to be interested to watch how Will and his opponent, what type of reaction Will gets. But that's what people need to separate them. The believability factor is always going to be there with some talent. Brock, Oba, Kenny, another AEW talent I can think of off the top of my head. Even MJF, he's very believable. Okay.
Kyle Fletcher's super believable.
Fletcher, sure.
Kyle,
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, they're all believable. Mm-hmm. But if all of these talents that I named in AEW were so over, the momentum's there. They have a lot of buzz, but it's not translating well in the States for crowds in terms of their weekly television. That's my issue. And some people say, well, it's Wednesday. And it's like, all right, well, if these guys and girls were so over, we're going to see what Ospreay does as a champion. If he brings them to 5, 7, 9,000 people for weekly television, holy shit, you have lightning in a bottle.
Well, we have to step back and be honest and say year over year they're getting better. They're growing. Sure. I make the comparison to an expansion team, right? You look at you and I, we like hockey. The Golden Knights. The Golden Knights were an expansion team. They were, took them a while. They won some championships, and still their fan base, though, even though they're winners, they are champions. You can't find too many Golden Knight fans. I'm just going to be honest. You can't. Sure. You will find more Bruins fans. You'll find more Red Wings fans. You'll find more
Blackhawks fans. You're talking about an expansion team.
Okay. There's another one with Utah. You're not going to find a lot of Utah, but that's a pretty if you watch hockey, that's a damn good team, though. That's a damn good team. They will probably win next year, maybe. We'll see. But my point being is that I think it's going to be a while till we get till the crowds and the numbers and
I'm
the sellouts.
I'm not sitting here saying that AEW isn't up in some categories, but if you want to live in a fantasy world, you can. Okay. I'm not one to continuously, I'm not just talking directly to you. I'm not one to continuously just look at attendance and be like, but they are not up year after year in attendance. They're not.
Now that one is in, I have a theory on that.
But it's an industry-wide thing too. If you go look at SummerSlam in New Jersey and Minnesota. I was just going to say,
okay, so I think it's an industry-wide thing.
But I just think that, again, WWE has done a good job. TKO has done a good job of making sure that their revenue streams are coming from other things than live entertainment. And AEW is going to do that as well, in my opinion. Will they do it on the scale that WWE does? No, because WWE is different. It's a machine. TKO is a machine. But you're talking about who's drawing, who's doing this, who's doing that. If all of these people we named were such big draws, then AEW would have at least 5,000 people in the building every week. And sometimes they don't. And that it is what it is. But let's stop sitting back and saying that this person's a draw, that person. They're going to try it with Ospreay. Let's see what he's got as world champion. I am very much looking forward to that. I really am. And I want to see his reactions. But again, we cannot continuously sit on the internet or on your blogs or on your videos or on X or whatever and openly criticize or praise because you like a certain talent. It doesn't matter what you like. The masses need to like it. And not just the people who comment on your bullshit videos or your rants or your posts. You need to make sure that you can like people, you can like talent. But at the end of the day, if they're not connecting and they're not over with a crowd, who cares what you like or what you want? Your fan base is telling you, I don't want 6-hour pay-per-views. But Dave Meltzer says he loves it and you're getting your money's worth. But the fans have sat back and told you, we'll still pay the $50. Just give us 4 hours. We don't give a shit, or start them earlier. I mean, like, you can't continuously book for just you or advise on what you just like. That is not an advisor. That's a dictator.
You have to book for growth. And that's, something that I have started trying to learn. But to transition, because we got to keep moving this show along, I got 2 more burning questions for you. One of which, did you see the Conrad Thompson 83 weeks thing?
I saw that Conrad. You'd have to elaborate. I just saw that they were
trending. Conrad,
I have a lot of respect for Conrad. So go ahead.
Get him to unblock me, please.
If he
he
blocked
and
you, you said something dumb. No offense.
I was talking to he was defending Eric Bischoff, and I will never apologize for what I said about Eric
Oh.
Bischoff.
I mean, I've had my squabbles with Eric, but go ahead.
Eric was very rude to me, and he knows what he did. But they have said that Roman Reigns is probably the most overrated wrestler they've seen in the last 15, 20 years.
I don't know about that. I think Roman works a certain style, and man, he's good at it.
And they said, you know, that the particular style of match and story that he tells is very kind of rinse and repeat. You know, we haven't
He's
seen him
methodical
do
with his stuff. He's slow. And that's
you
fine.
know, we haven't seen him do a 15, 20-minute match and things like that.
Roman?
Now, not many. He has, but not many. You know,
didn't Roman just do a 30-minute match with Seth at SummerSlam?
was that 30 minutes?
I mean, I think so. I'll check for you.
Because I felt like that was a little short.
Match was slow. 33-25.
That was 33 minutes. That match
and I
felt
thought to
very
myself
slow.
while I was watching it, I was like, oh, this, and they could have sped it up a little bit, but I was like, this is just what Roman, this is his matches, man.
But
he does.
What did you, go back and read the comments, watch it. But I just want to see your particular thoughts because now there's this narrative now that, you know, Roman Reigns isn't the work rate guy, so therefore he's overrated. I'll put it to you like this. Wrestling cannot always be one particular thing. Is wrestling more of a work rate thing now, like where we pay attention more to the in-ring? Like, could you pluck 97 Hogan and put him in today's world and he'd be just as over? Probably not. You got to be able to do a little bit more in the ring. But Roman, like you said, has found a style and works with it. And like, I mean, it's kind of hard to get mad at that.
I just looked this up. Roman's match with Jacob Fatu at Clash in Italy went 27-12. What are we talking about here? Roman's not a 10-minute in and out. That was Hogan. Hogan was there for like, what, 12 minutes, 11 minutes, brother? And that's fine. You know, Hogan did his stuff. Hogan also worked a completely different style in Japan. Go watch it. He also did different interviews in Japan. I think these guys, when they reach a certain echelon, know what works and what doesn't. I don't think Roman's overrated at all. I think he's properly rated. I think he is one of the best that we've ever seen do it. I will say that the bloodline is starting to get very long in the tooth, and I understand that Roman is a focal point of that. But at this point, you know, the bloodline's been going on since what, 38? WrestleMania 38? I think that's when, like, a couple weeks after that.
Something like that.
Now we're looking at, you know, I mean, come on. We're good here. It's time to, you know, be done. But I don't know. It's time for people to stop looking at, again, it's his opinion. He's entitled to it. But I don't believe that Roman Reigns is overrated. That's my opinion. You know?
I wouldn't say overrated. I think he's I think he's rated just fairly. Right, you know, he's polarizing. A lot of people love him, a lot of people hate him. That's kind of the purpose and intent of his character, you know. So he is just as booked, if you ask me. But looking ahead, and as we always try to do, we know what all in is looking like so far.
Sure.
The card is looking great, so not much to kind of comment on there. But on the WWE side of things, I believe we got Money in the Bank coming up. Mm-hmm. Now, we haven't even started with qualifiers or anything like that. So very early, too early predictions here. But who do you got? Who do you think will be kind of the stand? Because it seems like they've been using Money in the Bank as like their teller for the next, like, hey, this person's going to be next up. Hey, we believe in this person. Who do you think will be in that role for Money in the Bank this year?
So, you know, this might disappoint a lot of people, but I don't think Obafemi's winning the Money in the Bank. I think that would be, you know, kind of silly, truthfully, and I don't think it fits his character.
But he doesn't have. It would make sense though. And I'm just
I know, but they brought it up a little bit.
He gave up his. Okay, so he does
They
still
brought it
have
up
his
that he's
title.
like the king of the ring, and we haven't figured out when he's going to challenge or what. So they've
Okay,
like reestablished the fact that he gets a championship opportunity, which I think they could have gone by the wayside and not done that. Again, I think Obafemi is probably going to have a. I think what's interesting is what could work and could have these two on a collision course very soon. And I think it would make for good television. Is I think Braun Breaker could win the Money in the Bank, and then both of them can kind of have this at any given moment. Braun can cash that in, and his character works for that. And you have the two faces of quote unquote the new generation, right, lock, stock, and barrel with each other. We're at, let's just say, I don't know, a pay per view or PLE before we get to Royal Rumble. Breaker and Oba have a match, and it's I'll put my money in the bank on the line. You put they could do that. Or, Oba could just win the championship, and then he's got Braun hovering with that briefcase while he's reigning as your champion, which is again, two faces of the new generation.
I
So
would actually really like that. That would actually be really cool.
and I think
Because
there's only two logical options for the Money in the Bank. And I'll throw a wild card in because he's a vet, and I think it works from what we saw on Saturday. I think Trick Williams and Braun Breaker are your two that should win this Money in the Bank. But I'll throw another person out there because his character works with it, and we saw him return on Saturday, and that's Randy. Randy holding that briefcase could be money with not only Punk holding it, but potentially KO or Cody. So for me, those are my three, but I think it's got to go to Braun because I think Braun would be, it makes a lot of sense. He's a heel. Oba's ascent happens. I think Oba wins the championship at the Royal Rumble if we're going to get Rock and Roman, which I believe right now we're on that path. And then you have Braun kind of stalking Oba at every turn. And that's your two leaders of your new generation. So for me, that's where I'm at.
I would, for me, I think your picks, it's super easy to do. It's Braun Breaker. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's Braun Breaker. You put a rocket on this man right now, and because he can't really do much wrong as far as I'm concerned. I kind of really like that idea that just go ahead, crown Oba and have Braun
Sure.
peering over his shoulder, because we haven't had that in a while. We haven't had that, like, these past Money in the Banks have felt kind of flat to me. And I feel like Braun can elevate it back to that level of when Edge had it. Because when Edge had it, you never knew. It was like, oh man, the ultimate opportunist, right? He kind of started that whole idea.
Yeah.
And I could see Braun pulling off something like that where it's like, hey, I got this and I'm holding on to it. I'll let you know when I'm going to cash it in.
Yep.
I think, I got Braun. Now on the women's side, I think it's very, very clear that Becky Lynch will be winning the Money in the Bank.
Oof. I see. I'm gonna. Man, women.
I got Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, or I could see them maybe doing a Roxanne.
I'm gonna go with Roxanne Perez.
Yeah, I could see them maybe doing a Roxanne. But I think that Becky's got one more reign in her. I think Becky's got one more reign in her. If they're not going to give it to her now, not now, because I know she's probably about to get in the program with Stephanie McCurr, but or teaming with Stephanie McCurr possibly.
Sure.
But I think Becky's got one more reign in her. So yeah, I've got Becky possibly, being Money in the Bank champion, because I mean the reason why I say Becky is because she's very marketable. She's incredibly marketable.
She definitely is.
So having her, be Money in the Bank, and the same thing with Braun. The reason why I got Braun, he's incredibly marketable. I mean, you put one of those hound dog things that his dad used to have on the jacket, put that on the briefcase, and boom, you could sell 1 million of those. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the thing. Roxanne needs, whether it's the Intercontinental Championship or something, she needs to go towards that and get out of the Judgment Day. I think she's good on her own. And I thought you might see that breakup at SummerSlam. We didn't. It is what it is. But I'm going to pass on Becky. That's no disrespect, but I think Roxanne or even a Stephanie Vacour, I think would make more sense. And, and the other thing too is that I thought this was a shoe-in for Chelsea Green, but now Chelsea's the champion.
So unpredictability. I did not have Chelsea. I don't think any of us picked Chelsea to win. Shout out to her again. That is a person who took 5 seconds and made $5 million out of it. So maybe not quite 5 million, but
Boy, all those people who were coming for my neck. It seems as if we got some breaking news that Becky Lynch and Finn Balor are going to make a special announcement tomorrow. That would lead me to believe that Ireland's getting a PLE, a big one.
Okay, okay. I like that. I'm now. Where it's next. Me and you. This is something that we've talked about. I need a PLE in Africa now.
Well, they're doing a show in Hawaii.
They're doing a show. Yeah.
I think it's a live event. So I think you're probably more than likely going to see a PLE in nowhere near. I mean, it's not Africa and Hawaii, two different things. But I do believe you'll probably see a PLE in Hawaii or a Raw or SmackDown. I think that's going to be it for a little bit. Africa could work. I mean,
I think it would work so well. So there's a very huge wrestling fan base in certain countries in Africa. So if you go to the right place, you can definitely pull it off. But an Ireland PLE that doesn't sound bad to me.
No.
I mean,
it doesn't need to be Ireland too. Like I did, I would assume when you have those two superstars and it's, I want to say the television network it's going to be on is in Ireland. I could see Wales, but it's probably going to be Ireland. It's probably.
And that's going to be great. I think I love it when wrestling companies go international. Particularly WWE does a very good. I don't care name this. They do a very good job when they go international. They do great. So I would like to see that. I think that works. I definitely think that works. But interesting to look forward to for Money in the Bank. Like I said, I got Braun, all the way. But I think it's very particularly interesting. You don't have Oba. I thought I would have thought you had Oba.
Oba doesn't make any sense. Number one, to hold that briefcase. He's very much like a in your face type of like Brock Lesnar was, and is. So for me, I think Oba holding that championship is very contradictory of his character. Unless he wants to call his shot immediately, then so be it. But I think Trick, I think Braun Breaker, and I think Randy are
Trick.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense because Trick can hold that for literally 2 years. You can have that
put some fur on that too. Yeah.
I mean, and that's the other thing too with Braun Breaker or Trick Williams. It's more along the lines of I'll hold this for a while until I'm damn good and ready. Randy's my only thing if they want to get it off. They want to get that Money in the Bank briefcase, off within, I don't know, a couple of months or weeks. So I don't know. Oba doesn't work in that scenario. He should get a championship opportunity without having to win the Money in the Bank. Could he, if Rock is not going to be involved at WrestleMania, could Oba win the Rumble? Fuck yeah, that works.
And then also one last, what are the chances? Because you brought up, Mania. What are the chances Brock unretires for one last Mania match?
I think money talks and bullshit walks. I think Brock will 100% go into the. I don't want to say 100%, but a high probability that Brock goes into the Hall of Fame in Saudi Arabia. Very much a controlled environment for that. I don't think many people who would attend the Hall of Fame in the States would boo Brock Lesnar anyway, but you never know. So I could see him going in the Hall of Fame. Truthfully, if Oba's already crowned world champion by then and they want to do Brock versus Gunther in Brock's final match, I could see that being something they do. So
I could,
Brock doesn't need the money, brother. He's been the most financially successful professional wrestler, I think, in history.
Yeah, when you live in a cabin and don't watch TV and just hunt every day, yeah, it's very easy to save your money. And that's a shoot. That's his actual life. He does not do anything. He's a very much a, keep to himself family man. And I respect it. I very much respect it.
Absolutely.
But because I didn't think that Brock was gonna. I figured he would lose, but I didn't think they would actually full on retire him right now. I thought that he'd have
WWE
maybe
posted
one
it
more
on
match.
their website and everything else like that. It seems like it's a done deal.
It's legit. Yeah. Because I had him for one more match for Mania.
I
But
think that's still on the table. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's not on the table. I could absolutely see that happening.
I hope so, because I mean, again, looking towards the future, I mean, this Mania card potentially, I mean, it could be one of the better ones that we've seen in a very long time. I mean,
Yeah.
if you've got Rock and potentially Roman and Rock, what Punk headlining, you're gonna have a return. Drew will be back by then. Oba will either be champion or challenging for the championship. I mean, I know, again, way too early predictions to even talk about, but this Mania is got the potential to be a very, very good one. So I could see if the money talks, then yeah, I could see Brock coming out and saying, all right, trot me out in the Hall of Fame and I'll do one more match and we'll call it. I could see that. But got anything else? No, I think that kind of, we've covered a lot.
I don't know who this is, so maybe help me out with this. The producer said we have to read this. Also, Drew, did anyone tell you that you look a lot like Joe?
I don't know that's fucked up. Oh, that's fucked up. Oh,
I gotta look this guy up now.
You gotta look him up because you don't, because they're only saying it because it's the bald. But like,
no, I could see it a little.
You can see it. That's the thing. You can see it. You're definitely taller than him, though. You're definitely, that is funny. Oh my!
York. I don't know who this guy is though. But yeah, all right, okay. All right. No, I don't have anything. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think I wish we just did better in terms of
media.
Yeah, you're showing your cards. You're basically telling everybody without telling anybody how much power you have. Maybe that's done on purpose because you need your ego fed. But for Christ's sake, throw a change up. Don't let everyone know that you have that type of influence because it's becoming blatantly obvious now.
What happened to the circle curve, man?
Yeah, longer pay-per-views. Eddie Kingston probably not gonna, be in high-profile matches anymore or whatever because Dave Meltzer doesn't think he's got it anymore. And Speedball never ascend to the heights that maybe he wants to because Dave Meltzer doesn't think he's that type of talent. And Fletcher obviously is going to ascend to insane heights. Again, you're telling a lot of things to a lot of people that shouldn't know these type of things.
You've got to. Sometimes you just got to take a step out the box and be like, okay, hey, I have a job to do, and, because that's the excuse is when you tell them not to, and then they say, well, I have a job to do, and it's like, yes.
I mean, I could have easily been like, yo, Dave LaGreca is full of shit. He was in the front row. I was 3 seats over from him at Full Gear. Nobody stuck him in the 300 level, but I gave Dave a chance to comment on the situation and be like, I was or wasn't talking about AEW. His silence spoke volumes. And realistically, from me to everybody else, I don't ask to be in the front row anywhere because realistically, that's not my place. If they put me there, so be it. And I'm very thankful for it. And it's a very nice gesture. But I'm not sitting there being like, yo, I'll come to your show if you put me in the front row. You know the balls you have to have? Like, come on. Those seats are always very much sought after.
I said it that, the grift was always in play when it comes to them. I didn't want to talk about those guys, but I guess I'll talk. I thought that statement was the wildest thing you could say in public. Why would you that was such a bad look. One, anybody who was tuning in to Busted Open now is going to feel dirt. Like you got to feel a little bit dirty, feel a little bit grimy because it's like, I'm a part of the grift now. I am a part of,
you can't blame somebody who covers wrestling for a living wanting to be affiliated with the largest wrestling promotion, sports entertainment
No, I'm not
on the
mad at
country.
that. What I am mad at though is that I will talk nice about your company if you treat me nicely.
A lot of people
You
can be bought and sold, my man. Never
and
did.
just like Terrence Crawford said in that in the pivot. Now we know what your character is. So Dave LaGreca, Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, now we know what your character is. Now we know how much you're worth. You're worth a couple $1,000s in 4 seconds on TV. Congratulations. I hope you can take it with you when you're gone.
Yep.
So that I thought that was embarrassing. I thought it did everybody people like you who do this job with integrity, people like John Alba, people like Sean Rassap who do this job with integrity, people like Chris Van Vliet, again, who do this job with integrity. It made all of y'all look bad because I saw somebody say, "Oh, TKO comped you." Dude, I've known Andrew for about a year now. Very good friend. He's never been comped anything like that.
I've been comped before from WWE,
but not to it's nothing that you're asking. You've never said, "Let me,"
First of all, I needed 5 tickets. They're not comping me 5 tickets. Okay, I would never even ask because I don't. Like, I was there to be a dad and to have fun and everything else like that. And I basically was there to take the event in and be a fan. I wasn't covering anything. And I don't ask for tickets for WWE through their media portal or whatever because they stick you in a box and it's so far away and you cannot feel anything. And if I want to be a part of the show, and I'm not talking about be a part where people could see me or I'm in the ring or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I want to be able to feel the crowd, feel the show. I want to be able to actually be a part of what goes on. And you cannot do that in a press box. You cannot. So that's just it.
No, you can't.
I haven't been comped for SummerSlam or WrestleMania in a long time.
So but now you're going to get these questions now every event because of those guys and what they said. And that is like,
would I do something on WWE radio if it was asked? Maybe, depending on what it was. Am I going to not call it the way I see it? No, I'm always going to call it the way I see it. When AEW does stuff that's rotten, I'm going to tell you it's rotten. When WWE does stuff that's rotten, I'm going to tell you it's rotten. That's the way you have to be. And again, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, it is what it is. So, like I said, I guess we know what your character is, so. But good luck to those guys. I'm pretty sure. I heard Booker T and I can't remember his colleague. They did a fantastic job on the play-by-play.
Vic Joseph,
something that I was wary about. And they came out and there was a story of a blind guy who said, "Okay, hey, I've always wondered what listening to wrestling would be like." And apparently they did a fantastic job. So shout out to you, Q the Frog, on that one, because you said, "Hey, no, play-by-play wrestling, just listening to it, that sounds pretty good and sounds pretty decent." And they did a very good job.
You got to remember that, like, again, people look at this from such a minute and minuscule aspect. They look at it through, those glasses.
Their own lens.
Yeah, and it doesn't work like that. There are people who absolutely need this. So it works and it should work. And people, they pay, I think it's like $2 something. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think WWE radio will be successful, but it just right now it don't feel good. Like what they said, and bullying LaGreca, that just wasn't a good look. But it's by far it is not an indication on what
this right here. As a trucker, the play-by-play is a game changer. That's another thing I brought up.
Yeah.
That type of stuff where people, driving trucks or whatever, they can't physically watch the pay-per-view or PLE, they can listen to it. Come on, man.
Yeah, no, it's again, WWE radio will be a game changer. It's going to give a lot more access to and that's all it is you want people to just have access to your product. So kudos to them. It's good on them. I can't get mad at that, but still not the greatest comments from Bully Ray and LaGreca.
No. So yeah, and I'd like to, thank everybody for watching and chiming in. We got Watch Addict, we got Gus Bus, we got Dev, we have Hannibal, we have Big Graps, we
Billy.
have
What's up, Billy?
Billy.
What's up, CJ?
Yeah, we appreciate everything. Advocate for you guys and girls jumping in here. Blake Mitchmore. Juice was scheduled to be with us. He's busy at the moment, so wish him the best. And Jordan, where can everyone like, subscribe, and follow you?
You can follow my personal account at slick_flare91, where you can see me ratio some of your favorite grifters. uh or doing it daily, brother, doing it daily. You can see me ratio some of your favorite grifters, or you can catch me on the Wrestle Collective podcast here on YouTube, and that is the Wrestle Collective, where today we'll be talking selling, to sell or to not to sell. That is the question. There's a bit of a controversial spot that happened this past weekend, and so it got us to thinking, well, what is selling and how important is it in the match? Do you care? Do you not care? Does it draw you out? Does it draw you in? It's a good discussion to have. Here at the Wrestle Collective, we like to break down some of those minute questions that the fans always like to have. So come check us out, 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern time. We got a full crew today, so it's going to be a good one.
There you go. Yeah, enjoy your rest of your weekend, boys and girls, as that starts tomorrow night. SmackDown, Maple Leaf Pro has Adam Copeland showing up, and I saw Bret Hart. So they're making some news. I appreciate all the love. Make sure you watch, subscribe, and follow, like as well. Hit that bell for notifications. Huh?
Have you seen Spider-Man yet?
No.
Dude, you got to see Spider-Man. Take your son to see Spider-Man.
All right.
Take your son to see Spider-Man.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Hit that bell for notifications so that when you go live, you will know. I'm at Andrew Badella on X, Twitter, whatever you're calling it. He is at
Slick_Flare.
Check out the Wrestle Collective. We thank you guys and girls for joining us. We will catch you all down the road. And wrestling is an escape. Enjoy it. Don't take it too seriously. See ya.